UFC Louisville recently wrapped up, and I'm going to recap the entire card. There's a lot to dissect and talk about here. A controversial main event, a massive career comeback in the co-main. I'm looking forward to talking about everything, so make sure you smash the like button. If you guys are new to the channel, subscribe. We're going to start with the first fight of the night and then work our way up to the main event. So let's do it. First fight was Puja Tomar and Rayanne Amanda. Close decision that a lot of people felt was robbery. I thought you could have maybe gave it to Amanda, but like how I view it is a low-tier women's MMA fight. Not massive moments for either one. Like Amanda finished kind of strong. If you bet your life savings on this one, because I know a lot of people that had parlays were like complaining in the live stream chat about Amanda. Why would you do this? Why would you do this to yourself? It's like, come on. These early ladies fights are high-risk territory because you get a bad decision like this that probably should have went Amanda's way but didn't. Tomar also, they got more market to build with India. They're trying to build up the Indian market of MMA. And what is Amanda going to do for Brazilian MMA? Nothing. So they're like, listen, we'll slide her the decision. I'm not actually saying it was rigged like that. Okay, take the joke. But I do think Tomar winning is more of a positive for like the Indian business side. At least you have like a winning Indian UFC fighter right now besides like Anshul Jubilee, who just lost to Mike Breeden. Okay fight, I don't know. I just want to move past it. I really don't want to talk about this fight anymore. The same as watching it. It was okay. It was a decent scrap. I'm shitting on it hard. It was okay. But it was just low-level women's MMA. Let's get to the next fight on the card. This fight I liked a lot. Taylor Lapilus and Cody Stamann. I was very excited to watch Taylor Lapilus show this level. Great takedown defense in the fight for the most part. I remember him getting taken down once by Stamann. And then the striking looked good. It was clean stand-up. He was touching up Stamann from the outside. There's front kicks, there's jabs, there's good movement. He had Stamann looking busted up too late. Lapilus had a pretty quality performance with a dominant decision here. I like Taylor Lapilus a lot. He's a good fighter, man. 32, I feel like he's going to beat some of these, teetering outside of the top 15 type bantamweights. We saw him lose to Basharat last time. I think he'll struggle when the, corner is turned and it's like hyper elite fighters. But I think Lapilus is still pretty damn good and reliable fighter, man. Solid takedown defense and get-ups. Good gas tank. Good style. Taylor Lapilus with a dominant decision over Cody Stamann, who at one point was like a legit high-tier prospect with a lot of high regard. Now he's fallen amongst hard times. I mean, Cody Stamann might be getting released from the UFC. I know he's taken a few in a row. We got to double check. How many losses in a row is that? 2 in a row, and the wins are not impressive. He's definitely not getting released, but 2-5 in his last 7. Not a good look necessarily. Good W for Taylor Lapilus, though, and it was a great resume piece. 20-4 now, his 20th pro win. Good for his career. Good things forthcoming. Let's keep running. Next fight on the card. Ladies went after it. Denise Gomes versus Eduarda Moura. Talk about the fighter who was exposed on this card. Eduarda Moura. She was unsuccessful with some grappling, gassed out, and Gomes pulls off a decision. Now, there was some people thinking Moura should have got a close decision. I disagree. I thought Gomes won it 29-28. Moura was just trying to hold on for dear life and control with that real like snooze fest lay and pray style. She was not successful in any dominant positions. There was no massive ground moments for her. At the end of the fight, she was holding on for dear life, and it was an awful performance. Gomes looked decent. This was actually a really good win for Gomes because it shows she can fend off decent wrestling. Don't be fooled by how gassed Eduarda Moura was late. Her wrestling game is pretty solid. Just her gas tank is subpar. She's used to beating girls by finish. She also really struggles to make 115. So I do think that she needs to move up in weight because she missed weight in her last 2 fights. Yeah, she was half a pound over, but still, it's a problem. And the way she looked late in the fight, I think it's taken a toll. Eduarda Moura's grappling is strong. Why not move up to 125? 115 is not the move. I think fighters, a lot of times, they get so obsessed about being as light as possible. But there are plenty of cases of fighters having more success fighting at the more natural weight class. I mean, there's a guy on this card. Ľudovít Klein moved up, and he looks incredible. Now you can say, oh, but Soriano, what about him? There's different cases. He was chubby. Eduarda Moura is killing herself to make weight, and I just don't think it's a good move. I think she should move up in weight, and Denise Gomes is a decent contender. She's only 24, so like so many years left to develop. I do think Gomes could work her way up to the top 10, but I don't think for another year or two. It's going to take a bit more time, because imagine you give her a Tatiana Suarez type grappler. She's getting sub fast. Imagine you give her somebody with dominant wrestling like Lupi Godinez who can keep a pace on you. She's probably losing, even though Lupi a lot of times likes to strike. You look like, even an example, Verna Jandiroba. The higher tier grapplers are going to give Gomes a lot of trouble, but she's got great potential in this game. Daniel Marcos, John Castañeda. Daniel Marcos looked incredible, man. For pretty much the whole fight, he beat the shit out of Castañeda. Nearly knocked him out in the third round, but then he gets caught with a high kick with like 15 seconds left in the fight, and he was on wobbly legs. John Castañeda didn't really explode with a crazy flurry to follow up, but Marcos actually was able to recover and then do some damage to finish fight. So, like, strong final round for him, aside from getting rocked. He was dropping John Castañeda with shots. I think Daniel Marcos showed good punching power in this fight. Even though he wasn't able to secure a knockout win, it still showed he's got some sting in his hands. And I know people have been complaining about the new gloves, and there was a theory that the new gloves now, this is the curse, there's going to be no knockouts. Well, as we move up the card, we saw some vicious knockouts. I think Daniel Marcos is a really good fighter. I think Daniel Marcos deserves something close to the top 15, if not a top 15 test. He's well-rounded. His wrestling defense is really good. His striking game is really good. He picks shots well. He's got good cardio. And I think that he's just a very sound fighter in every area. So Daniel Marcos for the rankings 2025 is going to be my guess. Maybe at the end of 2024 too. So Daniel Marcos to keep on fighting. 16-0. He's going to get tested a bit, but his skills are smooth, man. I really think he looks top 15 level. He's similar to Jonathan Martinez is how I rank his skill set. Pretty high tier. Not Jose Aldo tier, but high tier. Good win for Marcos. Let's keep running up. Next fight on the card, ladies went after it. Montana De La Rosa and Andrea Lee did a rematch. It was honestly a high-paced fight early. Andrea Lee dropped De La Rosa in the second round with a spinning back fist. But De La Rosa's grappling finished the fight strong for her. And like Andrea Lee late folded a little bit under that Montana De La Rosa pressure. You could tell how bad De La Rosa wanted to avenge this loss. And she was successful in doing it. So real respect to De La Rosa getting a W. Andrea Lee's lost 5 fights in a row. She's 35. She's still tough, but losing to Montana De La Rosa is the loss that sends her out of the rankings. I know it was a split decision, but I totally disagree with the split. I thought De La Rosa deserved it at the end of it. I don't think Andrea Lee won the fight. De La Rosa put it on her. There were some wonky scorecards on this card, and like the split decisions were suspicious coming in, and this one was a little sus. I thought Andrea Lee definitely lost. I was not feeling an upset here for Montana De La Rosa, but ultimately, I was not feeling I guess it would be a favorite win, but an upset as far as how the fucking decision would have went by the end of the fight for Andrea Lee over De La Rosa. De La Rosa was the deserving winner, and she got it. And you know what? For her career, this is a solid W. She's 29. She's still got a lot of time, but I just don't see De La Rosa as a top 15 fighter. I don't see it. But we got more time. Maybe she'll prove me wrong. Let's keep running. Next fight, Brad Katona, Jesse Butler. It was a dominant win for Brad Katona. He got on top. He beat Jesse Butler's ass. He busted Butler up. Early in the fight, Butler was throwing some crazy shit on the feet, and Katona looked uncomfortable. But then the takedowns were there. Butler's corner told him no more kicks, but the kicks cost him the fight because he was getting his legs catched, and he was getting taken down. He was getting beaten the shit out of. Then he even slipped late in the fight after throwing a high kick. Brad Katona's consistent, dominant decision. It was a Brad Katona type fight. He stayed on top. He did work with ground and pound. He did enough damage to get a decision. Wasn't a fight that you're going to go back and rewatch every week. It's not something that I'm begging to rewatch. I mean, eventually I'll probably have to just, retouch up on tape on these guys. But I feel like Brad Katona's win was like a typical Brad Katona fight. Some forward pressure, some well-timed takedowns, decent punches, decent ground and pound. Nothing overly impressive. No finish. Even though he was close to finishing Butler a couple times. Unable to. Good W for Katona by decision, though. Thank goodness, because if he would have lost as a 2-time Ultimate Fighter winner, he was about to get released from the UFC again. Thankfully, that wasn't the case. He was able to stifle the long limbs of Butler on the ground, too, whose jiu-jitsu isn't bad. So it was good for Katona. Even though he's a huge favorite, it was a good win. Next fight, Carlos Prates versus Charles Radtke. This was incredible. Charles Radtke, tough dude, game AF, got eliminated by Carlos Prates, who has incredible Muay Thai skills, beautiful body knee that dropped Radtke, and the fight was done. That was it. Body knee, and Prates walks off. The ref jumps in and stops it. Prates' Muay Thai skill is really good, man. I like his stand-up a lot. Long limbs, long arms, finishing ability. I know Charles Radtke doesn't have the height, but I think he's a decent fighter. He works with Bilal Muhammad. He's got a legit ground game. He's got punching power. But Prates had zero issue with Charles Radtke pretty much whatsoever. Okay, it was kind of competitive in the first few minutes of the fight. But then Prates started taking over and started picking Radtke apart. And he got a beautiful knee-to-the-body knockout. Prates is a legit striker, and I'm really excited to see what's next for him. He said he wants to fight in Australia in August because one of his daughters lives there. Let's give Prates what he wants. I want to see Prates fight all the time. He's got a really fun Muay Thai style. He's got finishing ability. This is what sells. Give me more Prates. Loved it. And it was a performance of the night winner as well, so shout out to him for that. Featured prelim of the night, Ľudovít Klein, Thiago Moisés. Listen, Ľudovít Klein has shown a complete evolution in his skill sets. If you remember him at 145, he was kind of trash. At 155, he beat the shit out of Thiago Moisés, man. He looked really exceptional in this fight. Picked his shots beautifully. Almost got the fight finished twice, but, the ref didn't jump in. He hurt Moisés, dropped him bad in the first round, rocked him late in the fight. Ľudovít Klein did well. He hurt him to the body late in the fight too, but then head ground and pound, good guard by Moisés. Klein gets a dominant decision. Either way, Ľudovít Klein put on a pretty big showcase for himself, and I think it's going to get people talking. Ľudovít's takedown defense looked awesome. His striking looked really precise. I think Ľudovít Klein might have just earned himself a top 15 fight next. 3-fight win streak, hasn't lost in 7 fights. Striking, grappling. He was taking down Moisés. It was a really quality performance for Ľudovít, and I love his takedown defense. I love his gas tank, too. He doesn't gas out, and he fights smart. Ľudovít Klein's got a lot of potential, man. 29, powerful kicker, good stand-up game overall, good takedown defense, some wrestling to him, and great physical condition. Strong, jacked, and very good cardio. Ľudovít Klein is the makings of somebody that can last in the top 15. And I kind of want to see it. I don't know the exact opponent off the top of my head. Tomorrow, I'll be dropping every fight I need to see next, and then you'll find out. But either way, Ľudovít Klein gets me excited. This is a big win over Thiago Moisés. I know Moisés is not, elite caliber, but he's still got legit jiu-jitsu skills. His stand-up is normally pretty solid. He's beaten good opposition. Ľudovít Klein just got the biggest win of his life, and I think big things are coming in the future for Ľudovít Klein after a breakout win. Let's jump to our main card opener. If you guys haven't yet, make sure you smash the likes. If you're new, subscribe. It was Punahele Soriano versus Miguel Baeza. This was kind of embarrassing for Miguel Baeza. This was a horrible performance. And I know people were telling me, oh, don't take it away from Soriano. He's just bodying Baeza. I have a different view of Baeza. Baeza at one point was close with Ponzinibbio, who's a long-time, pretty high-caliber UFC welterweight. There's been moments where Baeza looked like he was going to emerge as a contender. 2 years off, he came back looking worse than ever. He came back as a panic grappler. He came back shooting leg locks and arm bars from the bottom. He didn't come back as a striker anymore. He's got some jiu-jitsu always, but he wasn't known for that. Punahele Soriano out-wrestled the fuck out of him and beat him up for 3 rounds. This was a lopsided performance. This was one of those performances by Baeza, too, where it's does he even want it anymore? Because his face said no. I think Miguel Baeza should retire. Serious. I know he's only 31, but doesn't look like he wants it anymore. Regardless of the outcome, he could have lost. But even when Soriano's landed the tails, you can see Baeza was giving up. Fuck it. Fuck this. I hate this. Fuck it. I'm done. That's what was going on in his head. That's what it looked like to me. Punahele Soriano had a signature win, though. He looked shredded. He looked strong. This is great for his career. Going down to 170 was the money move for him. I actually got to give him respect because he was always fit, but a little visible fat left at 185. He looks like a perfectly good size UFC welterweight. So this decision to drop in weight has really added a ton of longevity to his UFC career. If it wasn't for him dropping in weight, I think he could have got cut from the UFC. These bigger guys are tough to deal with. Good win for Punahele Soriano. Dominant wrestling game. Didn't just swing wild. He controlled with wrestling. Beza, though, it looked bad. He should probably retire. But still, Soriano sticking around. He ain't getting released from the UFC. Next fight on the card. Quick one. Zach Reese, Julian Marquez. Body kick, uppercut. Marquez drops, ground and pound. This fight was 20 seconds long, bro. It was really 19. This fight was incredible. Zach Reese destroyed Julian Marquez with ease. One shot. Marquez went flat back. Good ground and pound. Stoppage by the ref. That's it. Like, what else can we say about it? Zach Reese came into the UFC with hype, lost to Cody Brundage in a big upset, was an underdog here, and returned into a spot where he's got, at least a little bit of hype. His striking looked real good here. Perfect body kick and uppercut. He's got long limbs. He's tall. He's got power. Zach Reese broke the punches knockout curse from these gloves. These UFC gloves, there's going to be a lot of knockouts, guys. Stop worrying now. Zach Reese did it. Nice uppercut. And this is a win that I think earns him a lot of respect in the sport. He got destroyed by Brundage last time, but striking here, he's good on the feet. He's quality. And he caught Marquez with the perfect shot. I mean, I know Mark is a little sloppy and reckless at times, but fight before, he still gave Marc-Andre Barriault the tough fight. And Barriault's like close to the top 15, right? And he's fighting Joe Pyfer next. This is a good performance for Zach Reese, and this is one that should earn him a lot of respect, and I think big fights are coming. I'm excited for more with Zach Reese. I like his style. I like his frame, and I think he's pretty decent. So, good shit on the way. Good shit on the way. Next fight on the card, Bruno Ferreira versus Dustin Stoltzfus. This fight turned out to be a fucking wild one. Dustin Stoltzfus was looking like the technically better fighter than Ferreira from the outside, but like he couldn't help himself but to swing wildly in the pocket and get into brawls with the brawler. It was just an idiotic game plan. Bruno Ferreira is a dog. He sits in the pocket and he swings bombs. That's his style, and it was sloppy. This was like a true slobber knocker. I felt like I was like watching like a Tank Abbott fight. This reminded me of 2005 MMA. And I'm not complaining because it was really enjoyable. Bruno Ferreira dropped Stoltzfus with a spinning elbow, right? Stoltzfus recovers, and he knocks him out with the spin elbow. Bruno Ferreira got a sensational KO that earned him this bonus here. Shout out to the UFC for dropping like plenty of performance of the night bonuses because there was a lot of deserving candidates on this card. Bruno Ferreira is a sick fighter to watch. I don't know how good he is, though. Like, I feel like he's a little He's a little He's got flaws. And Stoltzfus was doing well. But he doesn't quit. He's got a lot of toughness and grit. I felt like if this fight was going into the second round, I thought Ferreira was going to be done because he was swinging wild and gassing a bit. But he lands the knockout with 9 seconds left, so it was beautiful. After the fight, what does Bruno Ferreira do? He calls his fucking shot. Thank God somebody's doing it right. He calls out Bo Nickel. Yeah, that's the fight I want to see. He said judo versus wrestling. Let's see it. Why not? Why is Bo Nickel? What's he going to fight? Who's Bo Nickel going to fight? Let's give him Bruno Ferreira. Bo Nickel might destroy Bruno Ferreira. Because Bruno Ferreira's wrestling looks suspect. His gas tank is suspect. But this is a fight to really push Bo Nickel. Because if Ferreira connects on the feet, he can knock out plenty of guys at 185 pounds. Bruno called for it. Bo Nickel should answer the call out. This is the fight to make. Judo nationalist, wrestling nationalist, Brazil versus USA. Count me in all the way. I like the fight a lot, but I think Bo Nickel could be okay here. If he can be smart, if Bruno Ferreira's takedown defense faults him, I could see it happening. He makes mistakes, man. I think that Ferreira will be in trouble on the ground with Bo Nickel. If they're striking, though, of course, Bruno Ferreira's live for a knockout against anybody outside of the elite in the middleweight division. But I think that Bo Nickel might get him. I think this is the fight for Bo. Yeah, give me Bruno Ferreira, Bo Nickel next. I love that fight. Sensational knockout. It was awesome. It was wild. It was reckless, but it was badass. Next fight on the card, our featured bout. Raul Rosas Jr. versus Ricky Turcios. You know, Raul Rosas Jr. turned into a man during this fight, okay? Ricky Turcios had his back and was like threatening, rough with that rear naked in the first round. And I swear to you, you could see for a second Rosas like, fuck it, he got me? And he said, nah, I ain't no bitch. He gets out of it, spins out, gets on top, threatens with his own rear naked to end the round. I'm like, okay, things are heating up. Ricky Turcios was mean to him too, because as they start the fight, Rosas goes to touch gloves. Turcios said, fuck you. Turcios was emotional in there, and he was throwing crazy in the first few seconds before the fight got to the ground. Rosas' wrestling was the advantage here, which I thought it would be. But Turcios wasn't easy to put away. He was game. Second round, Rosas ends up landing the signature takedown, getting the back of Turcios, locking the body triangle, finding the perfectly timed rear naked strangle. It took him a while to work it because Turcios is not an easy guy to tap. He's got good jiu-jitsu, but Rosas is strong as fuck, and he's got really good grappling skills. He's got something special. He's only 19, but he's almost 20 now. He's growing up. He's growing up in front of our eyes. Rosas is pretty good. Like, you can't fault him for a loss to Christian Rodriguez. And he just beat Ricky Turcios, a legit Ultimate Fighter winner. Say what you want about his style. And he beat him by finish. He tapped him out rear naked. I thought it was badass. Raul Rosas earned a lot of respect from me and I think from everybody. And I was very happy to see him take it home. I know a lot of people, including myself, Rosas was the key. Rosas was the key to all the parlays. He was a high confidence pick for everybody. And he's proved that. He's got staying power. I don't know. I think Rosas has got a lot of potential in the game. After the fight, he wanted the $100,000 bonus. We gave him 50. 50's fair, I think. That's still pretty dope. I like Rosas' skills, and I think he's got a really bright future. At just 19, doing this to a 31-year-old Ricky Turcios, it's something that deserves a lot of respect. I think Rosas is extremely talented, and I think he's got natural gifts, man. And if he keeps his head on straight, keeps working hard, he's got an awesome grappling game, smothering style, and I think he could do good work moving up the ranks in the future too. So, big W for Rosas. Co-main event. This was legendary. This was incredible. Dominic Reyes is back. Dominic Reyes is back. This is so good for the sport. I'm so happy that Dominic Reyes, against all odds, I was like, I can't pick Dominic Reyes. He's lost 4 fights in a row. Yeah, one of them to Jones, but 3 of them vicious knockouts. Yeah, elite competition for sure. But that Ryan Spann one, not elite. That Ryan Spann one was bad. Dominic Reyes knocked Dustin Jacoby out in the first round. It was incredible. Hurt him bad with a stinging straight left. Dominic Reyes has got to be one of the fastest strikers in the light heavyweight division. Beautiful shot lands. Dustin Jacoby is on completely wobbly legs. Reyes flurries him, throws the knee. More shots coming in. Drops Jacoby. Jacoby falls flat on his face. The ref jumped in at the perfect time. He didn't need any more damage. Dominic Reyes looked nasty. Now, Jacoby was like throwing decent shots, kind of finding his range, chopping up the legs of Reyes a bit. But they started exchanging, and Reyes caught him perfectly. That left hand is a bullet, man. Southpaw Dominic Reyes is terrifying. He's got a lot of power. And I'm telling you this, we don't need to overthink what's next for him. You don't need to. Why? Oh, well, somebody in the ranks. Who? Anthony Smith. That's the fight. Him and Anthony Smith is the fight to make. That's the fight that I want to see next. Anthony Smith challenged Jon Jones, went to 5 rounds, has taken some losses, but snapped back with a big win over Petrino. Dominic Reyes fought Jon Jones. Should have probably won. Completely fell apart for a few years. Earned his way back with a big W. I think him and Anthony Smith is an awesome battle of former title challengers and veterans. And if Dominic Reyes wins, it keeps on moving him up the ranks. He's ranked number 15. He beat an unranked guy in Jacoby. If you fight against Anthony Smith and you win, I think, what's Smith? Number 10, number 11? I think it's big for him. I think this would be massive for Dominic Reyes' career. And I think it will move him in the right direction. I do think he has a bright future still. If he beats Anthony Smith, he proved that he's back a bit, and I think Smith's a winnable fight. You beat Anthony Smith, now you're in the top 10. I don't know how he's going to fare against some of these, elite level guys at the top, like in rematches with Blachowicz or a rematch against Prochazka. No, I don't think that's what's happening. But I think there's interesting spots. I know I talked about Anthony Smith and Bogdan Gushkov being the fight to make after Gushkov and Smith's last fights, but now seeing it, the Dominic Reyes fight is so much more compelling. I just wanted him to fight Bogdan Gushkov because they look the same. I don't care about that anymore. The Dominic Reyes fight is the fight that I want. And we'll see if the UFC follows suit, because I think Reyes, if he's healthy, he could turn around by August, September at the latest. We could have him back soon. We could have him on the Sphere card. Glad to see him back. Glad to see him win. The game is not always sweet like this. A lot of times you come back like Miguel Baeza and you get destroyed. You go from undefeated to losing 4 in a row and your career's done. Not Dominic Reyes. He broke the curse. And I was happy to see it. Sick knockout, too, with the small gloves. Loved it. The new gloves, but they are small. He deserved the performance bonus, but I get it. You give it to the guys who are getting less guaranteed pay. But he deserved $50K as well. Let's jump to the main event. Make sure you guys smash the likes. If you haven't yet subscribed to, I am irritated with this main event. I forgot that I had to talk about this main event. I didn't even want to think about it. Nasruddin Imavov, Jared Cannonier. I'm going to go round by round. So the first round I scored for Jared Cannonier. Landed some clean strikes, controlling the clinch a little bit, was looking good. Second round, I think Imavov got him by a tad, landed some decent strikes from the outside. Mostly it was Cannonier clinching him, but he landed some shots too, but nothing emphatic. Imavov was sniping him. The sniper was sniping him. It makes perfect sense. Third round, competitive. Cannonier with a lot of control against the cage. Okay shots, landed some big punches too. Coin flip of a round, and my chat was all disagreeing. I saw 2-1 Imavov. I saw 2-1 Cannonier. I think I had it 2-1 Cannonier, but I'd have to go back and rescore to give you the absolute card. That doesn't matter, though, because this fight finished by controversial referee stoppage. It was a horrible stoppage. It was a career-changing stoppage. It could be a career-ending stoppage. I understand. Imavov had Cannonier badly rocked. Okay? Cannonier was pretty much out on his feet. The thing is, yes, he's wobbling all over the place after the straight lands, and Imavov's throwing more. He barely touched with that hook that knocked Cannonier off balance before the ref jumped in. And then the next one that landed hit the glove of Cannonier, and then Herzog jumps in as Cannonier is on his feet. Yeah, he's kind of shifting, but the shots are not flush. Yes, the straight that rocked Cannonier, 100%. Clean punch. Cannonier didn't drop. Cannonier didn't fall. He was wobbling all over the place. He looked like he was out, but he was getting his wits back. He was getting his feet back under him. He was doing the Watutsi, but he came back from it. Then the ref jumped in and stopped it. As Cannonier, I think, was recovering. Now, sure. Could Imavov had unloaded bombs and knocked him out? Sure. Yeah. But why are we jumping in and stopping a fight that isn't over? Because also what could have happened is Cannonier could have recovered and this outcome could have went completely differently. It was a horrible stoppage, and it was a stoppage that changes careers. Jared Cannonier coming into this fight was one of the top-ranked guys in the middleweight division, coming off a win over Vettori, win over Strickland in the fight before, whatever you think of the decision, you think of it. Imavov, the next guy on the come-up, and he looked good. And maybe he was on his way to knocking Jared out. But he also doesn't get to say that he slept Jared Cannonier. Imavov doesn't get to tell you, I knocked out Jared Cannonier. It's not an absolute. It's what would have happened. Maybe. I think he deserved the absolute, too, of having a clean win over Jared Cannonier in his resume. Not an early stoppage. A horribly early stoppage. Cannonier was rocked. He was not out. And that is not a fight-ending stoppage that should have ever taken place. Herzog is normally an amazing ref. But this was a terrible call. And Jared Cannonier is 40 years old. They're probably not going to do a rematch. I doubt it. So now he's got to fight his way back up. It ain't going to happen. It ain't going to happen. Any hope of Jared Cannonier emerging as a future contender again, title challenge, it's over now. Sure, it might have been over either way because Imavov was finding his range. But I like absolutes, especially in the fight game. You should be able to go out in your shield. Oh, but he's 40. He's 40. We want to stop it early. Then don't fight. If you're going to stop it early because he's 40, you shouldn't have him in the fucking cage. Okay? Then he shouldn't be cleared to fight if there is a different set of rules for a fighter over 40. Because that is stupid. And if you think that, you're a moron. I'm pissed. This stoppage was early. Whatever. Maybe Cannonier would have got knocked out. But maybe he would have knocked out Imavov. Maybe he would have won a split decision. Some people thought Cannonier was up 3 rounds to zip. I didn't. But still, people thought that. Who knows if he recovers, how the decision goes, how it looks at the end. There's so many answers to be answered. You know what I'm saying? There's so many questions to be answered, I should say. Answers to be answered. So many answers I want. I'm mad about this one. It was a bad stoppage, man. And it was really a career-changing stoppage. It was horrible. It could be a career-ending stoppage. This is one of the worst stoppages I've ever seen. It completely cost Jared Cannonier his career, and he should be fucking furious too. For Imavov, he's a good talent. There's big fights on the horizon. Yes, 100%. He's in a spot where he's in the mix. He called out Sean Strickland. I don't give a fuck to see that rematch. I don't. I'm not interested. Imavov needs a bigger win than this, man, as this was an unsatisfying one. For Cannonier, he's getting sent back down a ways. Maybe he's retiring. He is 40. Did he look slower? Maybe. I mean, he got rocked. He shouldn't have got rocked with that punch. Sure, you can say all those things. But I like the fairest shot to know for sure. And even though we might know that Imavov was probably going to win, you don't know for sure. I don't. I wanted to see this fight finish out clean. And the referee, Jason Herzog, absolutely robbed us and Cannonier of a chance. And Imavov of a legitimate win. Maybe even a performance bonus. Maybe he needed that 50 grand. Terrible stoppage. Terrible stoppage. Horrible. You can't call the fight a no contest for it. But we do have to complain. Like, dude, these stoppages, it can't happen like this. There's bad decisions. There's fucking weird scorecards. And to finish it, a horrible stoppage. I'm pissed off about it. Yes, Cannonier was rocked, but he was not going out. He wasn't even going down. He never touched the canvas. If he would have got dropped bad, bursted up, and is completely out, and then I'd understand Imavov getting the stoppage win right there. I understand Herzog jumping in. But it's a fact Cannonier never went down. He was moving away, and he was kind of effectively defending himself. He was blocking a lot of the shots. They weren't landing flush. It wasn't he was just taking them, boom, 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 boom. No. So the stoppage was stupid. The stoppage was horrible. It is what it is, though. Good win for Imavov. He looks solid. I just hate that Cannonier wasn't, able to go out on his shield, as I know he would have liked to, and I think Imavov would have wanted a more clean knockout. Imavov is only 28, and his skills are coming along beautifully. Odds are, at this rate, Imavov probably challenges for a belt. So, excellent performance from him, and we'll see what the UFC decides to do next for Imavov. I don't know off the top of my head right now. I'm too fucking infuriated. The game goes how it goes. We come back next week. It is fine. It is fine. All right, let me recap the card. So, the women's fights were a shit-style USA. All the underdogs of the women's fights won. So, I'm just going to remove them from my record. I was 7-4 on all the men's fights. Now, if you had the women's fights in, yeah, that had 7-7. But, fuck it. We'll go through. Cannonier over Imavov. This was the dog lock, who I thought was going to cash. Absolute L. Fucking L up the ass. Jacoby over Reyes, but, wasn't anything to bet on, I didn't think, unless you're maybe throwing Reyes as a dog, and he came through. But, yeah, it was a fair loss. Rosas Jr. was the parlay saver and the moneymaker a day. High confidence pick. Money call there. Had him over Tercios. Had Ferreira by first-round knockout over Stoltzfus. That was beautiful. Had Reese over Marquez. That was beautiful. L with Baeza. He got destroyed. Win with Ľudovít Klein over Thiago Moisés. Had the underdog Radtke, and he got fucking embarrassed. He got destroyed. Had Brad Katona over Butler, obviously. Had Marcos over Castañeda, and that was a perfect call. Had Lapilus over Stamann, and that was a perfect call. Like, bro, the men's fights all together, we got 1 loss, 2 loss, 3 loss, 4, 7-4. Yeah, the women's fight, they were crazy. Tomar, somewhat controversial over Amanda, is what it is. Moura to Gomes, you know what? Respect to Gomes winning. And Lee with De La Rosa, battle of 13-9, 13-9, whatever, 12-9 at the time, now 13-10. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is. But the high confidence calls with the male fighters came through. I'm happy about that. Good underdog calls. Marcos was a close money dog that hit. Reese was an underdog that hit. So there are things to like. I'm just a little infuriated with how things ended. But it's fine because we come back every single week and reset. And I'll be back for this UFC Vegas card. Guys, I hope you enjoyed the recap show. Let me know what you thought in the comments. Let me know. Cope in the comments, man. If you think that stoppage was one of the worst stoppages, if not the worst stoppage ever, you better let me know in the comments. And if you think the opposite, you also better let me know. So comment down below if you got nothing to say. W in the comments as always. Thank you guys for watching. I'm sliding up out of here. Smash the likes on the way out. And if you're new, subscribe it up with the post notifications on. And I will see you all in the next one. Peace out.